Jake Gyllenhaal stars in Amazon's remake of the movie Roadhouse that originally came out in 1989 and starred Patrick Swayze. Roadhouse 2024 takes on the same basic premise of a guy who takes on a job as a bouncer in a bar with a story that is simple and raw and has no shame in being exactly what it sets out to do. So how is it? Is it any good? Is it worth watching? Well, let's talk about it.
Do you have insurance?
What? Is your coverage good? Like, do you have dental?
Is there a hospital nearby? Is it like too far?
About like 25 minutes, I'd say.
I just slapped you. Are you all right?
What?
Hey guys, welcome back to Poprageous. I'm Danny Alex. I'm a screenwriter here in Los Angeles. Then this, for the most part, is a spoiler-free review, and at the end, I'll give you my score out of 10, so check it out. Roadhouse 2024 is one of those movies that's made for a specific audience, the John Wick crowd, which is mostly guys who love straightforward action and fight scenes, and there are a lot of fight scenes. And that's what Roadhouse 2024 does, and it does it well. It's a nuts and bolts revenge story that's straightforward and simple, with a protagonist that's likable, an antagonist who is easy to hate, and a conflict that centers itself around a bar in Florida. The main character is Dalton, played of course by Jake Gyllenhaal, who ultimately faces off against Knox, played by Conor McGregor, who puts in an amazing performance. I hope you know I'm kidding. There are a few things that this movie does well, and a few things that can be called a little over the top. But hey, this is Hollywood, baby, and the last thing you want is a revenge-based action fight drama to be flat and boring. It's directed by Doug Liman, who is known for Edge of Tomorrow, of course Tom Cruise, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Brad Pitt, and The Bourne Identity, Matt Damon. So he has some pretty good directing credits to his name. But this movie is streaming on Amazon Prime Video and is not a theatrical release, which is where most of Doug Liman's movies are released, in theaters. Interestingly enough, Amazon actually gave him a choice. They could have $60 million for a budget and a theatrical release, or $85 million and have it released streaming on Amazon Prime Video. So after seeing the movie, I think that was a smart choice. A theatrical release would not have been too kind to this movie. Roadhouse 2024 has the look and feel of a movie that was made for streaming, and they got $25 million more. Roadhouse 2024 does a great job with its main character, Dalton, who is a former MMA champion with something that's eating away inside of him. We're slowly given clues as to what it might be, and it creates just enough mystery that works well with the overall story as it progresses through to the final showdown. This internal conflict he has, which has something to do with his history as an MMA fighter, it works well with the main external one at the Roadhouse bar. Jake Gyllenhaal does a fantastic job in creating a character that the audience can easily relate to and sympathize with, and man, did he get in shape for this role. He is easily the best thing about this movie and basically carries the whole thing. The writers were smart to make him a sensible character, that he has a certain charm when he's beating the crap out of people. He'll break your arm and then he'll ask you if you're okay and mention that there's a hospital 25 minutes up the road. I mean, such a nice guy. And it does come off as sincere. There are two main antagonists, Ben Brandt, played by Billy Magnuson, and as I mentioned, his hired thug, Knox, played by none other than our fighting Irishman, Conor McGregor. These are stereotypical bad guys written in a way that makes them easy to hate, and it did create a huge contrast between the characters. But they did feel contrived and perhaps even too simplistic at times. It could also have been that Conor McGregor isn't the best actor. The fight scenes were well done on the whole, and they didn't go on too long, which is something that the John Wick movies do to a fault, if you know what I mean. There's a sweet spot where every fight should end by, because if they go on too long, it becomes stale and boring real fast. It's one of the main issues that I have with some of the John Wick movies, except for the first John Wick, which is still one of the best all-time revenge fight action drama movies ever made, my opinion. The acting was adequate, and the cast, well, it felt decent, you know? There wasn't anything or anyone who knocked it out of the park, and the characters were written exactly as you would have thought, and perhaps that's actually an issue with this movie. It can be predictable at times. The characters seemed a little too cookie cutter and void of any real elements to make them stand out. But that did allow for Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor to come front and center. Gyllenhaal for his good acting and Conor McGregor for his bad acting. I actually found Conor McGregor to be kind of comical, and I have to think that's exactly how director Doug Liman wanted it. They got what they needed out of Conor McGregor, and a lot of people will watch Roadhouse 2024 for that reason alone. Overall, this is a pretty average movie and is for the most part forgettable. It'll come up in conversations when the guys are out for beer and chicken wings and the conversation turns to talking about action and fight movies, but there aren't many people who are going to feel the need to watch this movie twice or to call their best friend after watching it and go on about how much they liked it. And I'll admit, I've done that for Dune Part 2 a couple of times. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving Roadhouse 2024 a 6.0. It's the kind of movie that makes you feel meh, it's average. If you like what you heard, hit the subscribe button and like the video. Love to have you part of the community. And if you didn't like what you heard, well, I thank you for watching it all, and I will see you in our next video. Cheers.